want to see a Marvel spin to win. I'm seeing I am seeing a Casualties of War.
This is nice.
That appears to be resolving. I mean, that counts as a hit.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That one could be nice. All right, here comes the beatdowns. Glincy of Siphoner, going to get you a little energy there. A Rogue Refiner going to come in as well. Overgrown Tomb, looks like it's going to be the land. You can see a hand here with a lot of Glincy of Siphoners, an Elder Gargaroth, and a Yahenni's Expertise. It's been a hot minute since I've seen that card. But Kaladesh is back in the fold, so. This follow-up, it looks like maybe Jose's had some mana issues in this particular game. Not so sure, but here is a Nissa who's going to shake the world. There is an Overgrown Tomb. That's going to be a 3/3. Can do some attacking and, of course, can help to cast Eliminate. You do see the life totals here. Tulio leading 17-7 against Jose Gabriel.
Yeah, definitely got to do 2 spells in 1 turn here to be able to play a little bit of catch-up.
Totally agree with you. And with Uro in the graveyard, there's Eliminate right now. I want to kill the Siphoner before it can use its energy to draw a card. Speaking of energy, Ether Hub the draw. Going to go after, looks like not Nissa. Rogue Refiner is going to come into the red zone. Nissa, with so much loyalty upon its first activation, up to 6. It is an incredibly difficult card to kill. Glincy of Siphoner, the fact that it does have Menace is definitely a bonus when you're trying to kill a Planeswalker, but it's not the best of blockers, and it is a bit of a small attacker. So there is the hub. Energy count up to 7. Now this is anything but a smaller attacker. It's an Elder Gargaroth.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's really no way to whittle down Nissa over the course of multiple turns with a 3/2, just because 1, the loyalty is too high, and 2, Nissa cranks out a sea of 3/3 blockers. So that path doesn't really get you anywhere. There's no guarantee that attacking from 7 to 4 sets you up to apply lethal the next turn, but it is I think a better use of 3 points of damage than knocking off some loyalty from Nissa.
Well, we are going to see how this turn does unfold. Looks like you might be kicking things off with a copy of Extinction Event. This has been a go-to for these Sultai decks as far as their mass removal is concerned. Now, it doesn't get everything, Patrick, but the fact that it does Exile and is a single black to cast, a pretty big deal for these strategies.
There's just random spots where it's totally bonkers. It doesn't target, so if you're worried about the auras mashup, it's very strong there. And it exiles, which has implications across the format. So it's not one thing. It's kind of the combination of all things.
We're seeing multiple things right now here from Jose to catch back up in this game. So you saw Nissa resolve. Now you saw Extinction Event on odds. That took care of the Elder Gargaroth. Now it's Uro, and this is just how quickly this Sultai mid-range deck can catch up, and that's why it's so attractive. You know, we jumped into a game where Casualties of War was on the stack and resolving, blowing up an Uro and a Zagoth Triumph. Now, just a couple of turns later, who's winning now?
I mean, once Nissa plus cards in hand is just that combo. That combo is really rough. I don't know if you've seen this one before, but
you see this?
Yeah.
Now, Yahenni's Expertise, for those of you unfamiliar, 2BB, so it's going to be 4 mana sorcery. All creatures get -3/-3 until end of turn, and then you may cast a card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. So, you know, it can be pretty darn good, and in spots like this, it can take care of those lands, but it's also going to kill those Glincy of Siphoners, and more importantly, it's not going to kill Uro.
Right. The issue here is just there's too many dimensions. You can mitigate the lands maybe, or you can mitigate Uro, but it's really hard to do both at the same time.
Glincy of Siphoners are going to trigger here. Being of upkeep, you can pay 2 energy to draw a card. So that's 1. Yahenni's Expertise. I suppose 2 could take care of the Elder Giant, but I'm not sure that's going to be a winning recipe in this game. You could spend 2 more energy to draw a card, and going to Ether Gust the draw, and now there is a Blooming Marsh. So we are doing the energy thing right now if we are Tulio Jaudy. See if I can get access to that deck list. See what the heck is going on here.
Right, so now you have a couple paths here, but they're all sort of bad. You can Gust the Uro or the Nissa and Expertise away everything, or you can try to Gust the Nissa and then Expertise twice. But none of these are really long-term solutions to the issues, to say nothing of Jose's hand.
Yes, which appears to be quite powerful with another copy of Uro and Hydroid Crisis.
Nothing but heaters.
Yeah. Which are likely to draw into additional heaters, would you say?
Right, and you have a lot of mana to work with because of Nissa. So, see how it goes.
We'll see. Also, we are on the hunt for these deck lists. We'd also like to update our cardboard live for you fine folks as well with these newest deck lists for Tulio and Jose here as they do battle it out in game number 1. Do want to thank you for joining us too for our road to the championship of Kaldheim and how it does begin here on the SCG Tour online. Here's Eugenio's expertise number 2, and this is a free one on the house. Maybe this Gust. Okay, we're gonna hold off. Looks like if I had to guess, I would guess it's a draw step Gust, though, you sacrifice that Fabled Passage.
Right. That's an in-response passage. You Gust, your opponent says top or bottom, doesn't matter, it gets shuffled in.
Yeah, make it move.
There you go.
Not your victory, but a victory nonetheless. We're going to try to solve that Nissa problem with this copy of Aether Gust. But one thing,
really good sequencing. Really good sequencing. I mean, this is the best map that Tulio has to try to get out from under this. I suspect it will still not be enough, but this was well navigated.
One thing I was going to say is the thing that's so appealing about this Sultai deck, you're seeing it unfold right now, right? Just power level, man. Just power level. Your cards are so powerful if you get the opportunity to cast them, and heaven forbid you can cast multiples of them in one turn like we saw last turn. That's where it becomes really tough to beat. And though Nissa is gone, Uro is still here, and we're going to cast that Elder Giant, the front end of that. Zagoth Triome might be coming onto the battlefield tapped. It is. Another Uro was drawn. So, though not able to escape Uro from the graveyard just yet, working its way towards that is Jose. Aether Gust, a heck of a draw step there, boy.
I was about to say that Gargaroth is a huge draw. It still might end up being that, but the Aether Gust now hopefully gives Jose a little bit of time to be able to make a play and also manage the Gargaroth at least for one turn, and then hope to chain together enough cantripping to find a permanent solution.
It looks like Nissa has been found now too, so that might be showing up next turn. But for now, you see Aether Gust at the ready. Going to want to use that before attack steps are declared. So, Gargaroth, top or bottom, you decide. And Tulio says, I don't want to play anymore because your Uro is going to kill me. So, Jose Gabriel Garcia Hilario is currently up a game here over Tulio Jaudy. We want to talk about a holiday sale that's taking place here. And Patrick, I'm going to let you do your thing because I know you love those deep discounts.
Talk to me here. So right now, there's a holiday sale here, 25% off over at StarCityGames.com. All Magic gaming supplies. This is a little bit different from previous sales, where often there's individual items that are flagged as being on sale. Here, it's across the board, all supplies on the website. That includes deck boxes, sleeves, playmats, you name it. But you have to use the code at checkout. Cedric, can you hit him with the code?
I'm going to hit him with the code SCG Supply 25 at the checkout.
So make sure to use that to apply the 25% discount. And this sale is going to end by Monday, tomorrow. So if you want to get a sale, an opportunity to get this stuff on sale, make sure to be heading over there now. And make sure to come back Monday as well, because there's going to be a new category of items on sale, which I think you're going to be especially interested in. And I know this because I'm especially interested in it.
Oh boy, there's the
StarCityGames.com.
Use coupon code SCG Supply 25 at checkout, and you'll save that 25% off of Magic Gaming supplies. So there you go. Some deep discounts here as we're working our way towards Thanksgiving next week. And, is Black Friday still a thing? Is that a thing that we're doing in the midst of a pandemic? I have no idea.
I mean, I am sure that I'm going to see some videos posted that are going to horrify me.
Yeah,
but
me too.
There's going to be I think a lot of those sort of discounts and promotions are going to be moved online.
Yes, Black Friday has been stretched out to a month, essentially, or perhaps a year. I don't even know anymore.
Black Friday. Black Plague Friday. Go to your store, just buy some electronics on the cheap with a horde of other people trying to do the same thing.
That's right. I think I'm gonna reserve my comment for right now. It's probably better than I do because I like what I do for a living. Sultai Marvel, Sultai Midrange. Coming right up here at game number 2. Deck lists are on the screen for you fine folks now as well via our friends over at Cardboard Live. What I can tell you, though, is taking a look at Tulio's deck list, it's a Marvel deck, but it's much more of a value Marvel deck. And so far as there are only 2 copies of Marvel in the main deck here, Patrick, and maybe that's the way to go with Marvel strategies is I'm not all in on it. It's just a part of my deck, and I don't have that many copies.
It's tough because Aetherworks Marvel requires a lot of energy, naturally. And so that sort of precludes you from playing a lot of the ramp cards because you just don't have enough room for everything. Once you don't have the ramp cards, it really bottlenecks the number of expensive cards that you can play. And so how do you manage this? You were trying to do it with Yorion as sort of a value play that could be good with or without Aetherworks Marvel, and then drag the game out where if you happen to draw an Ulamog, it's still good to go. Tulio's taking a slightly different tack, which is just play 2. Really don't make it a primary part of the deck, but for games that are grindy, matchups that go on a long time, it could be a really powerful dimension.
Yeah, and it can be, because there's this thing about when you get grindy, it's just, okay, you know what? I got a Marvel on the battlefield. All right, you kill my Underground, I get an energy. We'll do some trading, blah, blah, blah. And then, okay, I get to spend my Marvel again. So I'm not all in on the Marvel. It's just a good card that's part of what's going on, and that can be viable. The concern that I have is that, is this Sultai Marvel deck, with what you're doing with energy and Marvel, is it more powerful than the cards that have come out the past couple of years here in 2019 and 2020 in Uro, in Growth Spiral, in Hydroid Crisis, and in Nissa? And it's hard for me to say yes to that question.
It's really hard to overpower Uro.
Yeah.
Even if you build a deck that's built with like the best energies in the format, like Aetherworks Marvel, for example, Uro and mana, Uro and interaction is about as powerful as even something like Ulamog. So what is the incentive to build the deck this way? That's the question I still have and hasn't been answered for me.
Yeah, and that's a crazy thing to say insofar as Uro is about as powerful as Ulamog, but I'm not really one to argue because I have spent the better part of this year losing to Uro. At some point, I might actually try casting and escaping the card, but for right now, I just continuously lose to the darn thing.
It's not like you can never beat it. It's just their draws that are disconnected or their draws where you have interaction are a lot more functional than the other way around. And if you play 100 games under those circumstances, you're going to lose more than 50.
Yeah, I agree with you. So here is a Thoughtseize. Thought Distortion, eliminate Aethergust and Kiora, bests the Sea God in hand right now for Tulio Jaudy. So one of those cards is headed away here in just a moment. But you do see, again, the appeal to this Sultai midrange strategy. I mean, just the power level is through the roof. And it only got more powerful with a card like Fatal Push. But what's actually kind of unique, too, about Fatal Push is it's not a lock to be in this deck. This deck already had plenty of good removal, Extinction Event, Heartless Act, and a bevy of other spot removal spells. Now, the format will let us know if Fatal Push is the right place to go. And it's probably a net positive, but the fact that it's debatable just shows how powerful this Sultai midrange deck is, because you do have options as opposed to just saying, yes, we got push, that's what we were missing, gonna play 4 of those.
It underperforms in the mirror match, and the mirror match is a big deal right now. So, that as powerful as that card is, as ubiquitous as it is across multiple Magic formats, it's not necessarily the ideal removal spell here. Now, it does do a lot in matchups like Mono Red, Goblins, Orzhov Auras, you name it. There are places where it's the best card in your deck. But if the mirror match is going to be a big part of the equation, then it could be one of those, you don't play that many copies main, you try to play more copies in the sideboard for the appropriate matchups, and not play just 4 as an auto include.
Eliminate's going to take care of that Glint Sleeve Siphoner, and after all that exchanging, right, a little back and forth here, going to crack a fetch line there, do some cycling, whatever, it looks like it might be Uro time from the graveyard, not to mention that for Jose, got a nice couple of cards as well in hand in Castle Lockmane and Maelstrom Pulse. And oh, by the way, 3 life and a card coming as well.
And this is, this is really emblematic of the issue of trying to beat Sultai midrange and Uro control decks this way. Tulio's drawn cards like Thoughtseize and Eliminate in Aethergust. And it's not like these cards have no targets. They interact with opposing cards, but not profitably enough against Uro. And if you spend all of your resources trying to, fight this tide for as long as you can, eventually you're going to get beat. If it's not by Uro, it's going to be Hydrocrisis or Nissa or something else. But you can't fight off this stem of extra cards forever if you're not applying pressure of your own or making the game about something else.
I totally agree with you. So now here is Uro making this game all about itself. Narset, Harder of the Veils, the draw. That's another problematic card for this Sultai strategy that Tulio is playing here. So there is the Harder of Veils. It's time to minus there. We'll see what is found, if anything. It's rare that it misses, though it did miss for me when I was streaming on Friday. That's actually what that's what caused me to fold. I was like,
missing with
yeah, I'm out of here. Yeah, I can't handle it.
I don't know. Your deck plays a lot of creatures. It's not that weird.
It's got a fair amount of spells in sideboard games. Just, got some counter spells, got Marvels to hit, Omen of the Sea. I mean, you're not wrong, but it was just. But I mean, it was too much to take at that moment.
No, that's fair.
That's all.
I just have this recollection of your deck being a lot of lands and a lot of creatures, so it's not like the most weird thing for you to miss. But I get what you're saying.
In that moment, I just couldn't afford to miss.
Right. Yeah, no. That's very different, and I totally respect that.
Yeah, so I folded. I actually just shut down the stream. I was like, I'm gonna go play a video game now, and I just went back to playing PlayStation 4.
You just didn't run a half hour of commercials?
No. I rated Michael Jacobs' stream, and I'm like, I'm out of here, guys. I just don't. I'm a little frustrated today, which it happens.
If and when I stream, that's how I'm gonna disconnect. I'm gonna make a couple dollars out the door. You know what I mean? I'm not just
commercial bomb.
Just commercial bomb.
Okay.
Be right back after a word from our sponsors, and then never come back.
Here is Nissa. That's going to get gusted. That's a temporary answer to the problem, not a permanent one. So Nissa's predictably going to go back on top of the deck. Growth Spiral, Maelstrom Pulse, Fatal Push at the ready. There is a Swamp. We can best the Sea God now, but is that going to be enough? Now, this is a card I have not seen in quite a while. I know it's powerful. It's got a lot of text. So Kiora, best the Sea God. I'm on the internet. I can take a look at what this card does. Chapter 1, create an 8/8 blue Kraken creature token with hexproof. All right, so you can't push it or pulse the token. You can, of course, pulse the enchantment, which is going to be coming right up here, I think, in just a moment. But first, let's Growth Spiral that Nissa back to the grip. Now draw a card for the turn. Uro number 4. Narset's on 1, so not going to get to do anything with that. Go ahead, partner.
It's just not a bad spot for this card, but it's also... I'm suspicious it will be enough.
You remember Maelstrom Pulse in modern Jund decks? How most players just used to play 1 because it's just like, hey, it can just solve a random problem. Not at the best of rates, but it was good enough to play 1.
Yep,
that's what Maelstrom Pulse reminds me of in this format. Most people play 2, and Magic has changed since Maelstrom Pulse made its debut many moons ago, but it's still somehow good enough to just be lingering around in a format like this.
Well, something that an old line from Jerry Thompson that's really stuck with me. He played 1 copy of Supreme Verdict back in the day in some Jeskai Flash deck that had a lot of creatures, and he said you can draw all the cards you want. You got to be able to beat the board, and I think there is some amount of you have Hydro Crisis, you have Uro, you have these Planeswalkers. There's no question that you're going to be able to draw all the cards that you want, but you can still lose those games if you just a random enchantment or artifact enters the battlefield and you just can't handle that sort of card game 1. It's not the best thing on rate, but it's flexible enough and catches you against these, sort of weird metagame cards your opponent might be playing to beat you, that it's worth a spot or 2.
That 8/8 Kraken was going after Nissa. Uriel's going to jump in front of it, at least for right now. Glintzy Siphoner was the follow-up there from Tulio Jaudy, and that will be dying momentarily. I think that Jose is just figuring out exactly how they'd like to sequence the turn. I'm going to start by casting an Uro, Zagoth Triome the draw. Will we play one of those? I think maybe. It is interesting insofar as he could just not play either one and cycle them both to get a little bit deeper into the deck. Also more cards in the graveyard for the Elder Giant. And so it looks like, no land's going to hit the battlefield. Going to keep both in hand for cycling purposes. Here is that Fatal Push on that Glintsleeve Siphoner, a new addition from Kaldheim Remastered to the historic format. Now Nissa's going to up. Swamp, ready to give some beatdowns alongside that Overgrown Tomb. So, Jose Gabriel, Garcia, Hilario giving some beatdowns, knocking Tulio Jaudy down to 12. The follow-up. Looks like we're going to cycle a Triumph here in just a moment, just trying to figure out the best way to tap to do so. Sometimes you got to take matters into your own hands with the tapping on Arena. That arena auto tapper, sometimes not your best friend. So
it's an interesting little spot here because I think cycling the lands is valuable, but there's also an argument for you just want more mana with Castle Lochbane as part of the equation too.
Sure.
So cycling them makes sense to me, and also playing them as lands makes sense too. I could see it either way.
You see that 8/8 Kraken token is starting to get overwhelmed a little bit here. Uro's back from the graveyard once again. Fatal Push, Nissa, and Thoughtseize at the ready. Aether Gust the draw there for Tulio Jaudy. But we're also seeing a player here, Patrick, in Jose Gabriel, who is sitting at a cool 33. So even if you can take care of this Nissa or the battlefield, and I think we're probably going to see this Nissa, well, we'll see if it bites the dust or not. We'll let Jose make that decision. But even if you're able to take care of all this stuff, then you got a lot of work to do on the life total.
Right. I thought there was some chance that attack would be successful just because of the other Nissa in hand. But I think entering the turn with all of that mana is really valuable here for Jose. So willing to chump block even with the second Planeswalker in hand.
Looks like we're going to see a Gust here on this Uro. Now remember, the other Uros that were in the graveyard, those got exiled to the Uro that's being hardcast once again right now. So we'll play that Uro, Growth Spiral the draw, no land to put on the battlefield, so the last remaining Uro is headed to the graveyard. The follow will be a Growth Spiral, that'll draw a card. Basic Forest is going to hit the battlefield, no sense in keeping that. Looks like Uro not going to come back from the graveyard just yet, so Nissa's not a bad play in the interim. And we can actually see a turn here where it's Nissa, make a land, and then maybe even deploy the other Nissa, but not just yet. So, in for 6, push Thoughtseize, back up Nissa in the grip, and pass the turn back. Aether Hub is not what the doctor ordered here for Tulio Jaudy, and that is going to do it on this match. Jose Gabriel Garcia Hilario is going to win here over Tulio Jaudy 2-0. Sultai Midrange going to take care of Sultai Marvel